What's going on, everybody? Welcome into episode 1 of a brand new podcast, Why We Love the Game. This is going to be your all in one NBA, NFL, fantasy sports podcast. I am your host, Brody Morris. Today's first episode, we're just gonna get into what kind of segments we're gonna do, how the show is gonna roll on a week to week basis. And yeah, we'll go from there. Let's get into it. First up are weekly segments. We will be doing an NBA Around the League segment, NFL Around the League, fantasy sports, daily props, and a New England sports segment, which isn't on here, but I'm going to throw that in myself. The order of these is not set. They'll change from day to day, or from week to week. But for the most part, the New England sports segment will be at the back, and then we'll kind of try to follow this order. We'll talk about the NBA or the NFL, depending on which has the bigger news at the time first, and then the other, and then we'll go fantasy sports, daily props, New England sports, and that's how we'll do it. So I want to start off by getting into the NBA talk since we are in the beginning of the NBA playoffs here. Last night's game, the Warriors and the Rockets. The Rockets got the win at home, 116 to 131. The Rockets really looked good. Their offense was finally looking like the real offense. They absolutely shut down Steph and Jimmy. Forced both of them to have bad shooting nights. They were trying to force the other guys to beat them. And Fred VanVleet, he shot the lights out. He was great the game before that too. Dillon Brooks was pretty good. He was good scoring the ball. And Amen Thompson, God, he locked up Steph Curry and was great offensively. All the pieces came together for them last night, and that just shows how good this Rockets team can be when they can play to their fullest potential, but their youth creates inconsistency, which is why I do think the Warriors overall will still win this series, maybe in 6, maybe in 7, but you can't count the Rockets out. They have so much youth and athleticism with a mix of veteran leadership and Fred VanVleet. And Steven Adams has good veteran leadership. He's played a few playoff games in his time in the league. And Ime Udoka is an amazing coach. So you cannot count the Rockets out of this series yet, even though they were down 3-1. The other game from last night, the bigger game, I would say, the Minnesota Timberwolves get it done, and they eliminate LeBron James, Luka Doncic, and the Los Angeles Lakers. I did pick the Timberwolves to win in this series, but I picked them in 7. I did not expect them to win in 5. And my God, did Rudy Gobert dominate last night. 27 points, 27 rebounds, 2 blocks in 38 minutes. He was amazing. Anthony Edwards, near triple-double, 2 assists away, did not shoot the ball well, was 0 of 11 from 3, but was facilitating and getting his guys involved, and Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert really kind of carried that offense, which is weird to say, but they were there. They showed up on offense in a playoff game. 2 guys that seem to not really want to do that too often. But Julius Randle has been great in this series. Rudy Gobert has been pretty good, but last night he was absolutely dominating. So we got to give that to him. Tonight, that takes us to tonight's games. We have the Denver Nuggets going into LA to face the Clippers in that new Clippers stadium. They're trying to close the series out tonight. But my thing is Kawhi Leonard, he shows up in elimination games. And this is the closest thing to prime Kawhi we have seen since the 2019 Raptors run. He looks good. He looks youthful. He looks spry. He looks springy. I'm running out of adjectives to describe how, athletic and back to his real self he looks. I do think the Clippers will win tonight. I think Kawhi and James Harden will step up. Zubac will do a good enough job on Jokic. Jamal Murray will not have another game like he had the other night. I think it's definitely possible, but I don't think he will. Can never count out Jamal Murray. He's a great playoff performer, and they're really going to need him to perform as good as he did in Game 5 if they're going to want to win this series and continue to win throughout the playoffs and make another finals run. But I will pick the Clippers to win tonight. And then New York facing Detroit in Detroit. New York, same thing, trying to close out in Game 6 here. They are the favorites in this series. I do think they get it done tonight. I think that I think that Pistons crowd is going to be absolutely electric. They're going to want to hopefully force a game 6 here after they forced a game 5. I do think they can get it done. I'm going to pick the Knicks, but I would not be surprised if the Pistons won this game. Cade Cunningham, he's faced, he's gotten a lot of OG Anunoby, a lot of Mikal Bridges. He's faced a lot of really good defenders in this series. Some Josh Hart involved also. He's knocked down a lot of tough shots, but he's also done a great job getting his teammates involved. It's going to have to be the Malik Beasleys, the Tobias Harrises, the Tim Hardaway Juniors. They got to knock down their threes if they want to win tonight. That's going to, so our round 2 solidified matchups. We have Cleveland versus Indiana solidified. The winner of New York Detroit will play Boston. So if New York wins the series, they will play Boston. I would take Boston in that series. We'll get to that in a later episode, probably next week's episode. And the winner of Clippers Nuggets will face the Thunder in round 2, which that will be a great series no matter which team advances, and I think both teams have a chance to push the Thunder to 7 and potentially win the series. I'm not as high on the Thunder as some of these other people are. That being said, our round 2 solidified matchup, Cleveland, Indiana. I do love this Indiana Pacers team, but I think Cleveland has the stars. They have the reliable scoring, and down the stretch when the game slows down, I trust Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, mostly Donovan Mitchell with the ball in his hands more than I do Tyrese Halliburton or Pascal Siakam. Siakam's great, but I don't think he's a great, get in his bag, get to his go-to unstoppable spot and knock down a jumper. I think he can do that in the mid-range. He's got a nice post hook. But he's not as elite as a guy like Donovan Mitchell, who you can almost guarantee get a nice look out of an open shot or force him to pass, or they send help, send a double, and force him to pass to an open shooter. I like Cleveland in that series. So my top round 1 performers, number 1, got to be Nikola Jokic so far. He really has put this Nuggets team on his back. I'm also not as high on Jokic as others because I don't think he brings as valuable defense as some other guys in the league. I won't name any names, and it's not to discredit Nikola Jokic. The whole point of this show is why we love the game. We gotta spend less time comparing players and hating on players and spend more time just appreciating players. King of the fourth quarter, Kenny Beecham. His brand is enjoy basketball, and he really has inspired me because I grew up watching his 2K rebuild videos, and he went from doing that to now interviewing the commissioner of the NBA. He did a couple days ago. Shout out to him and the rest of the guys in the numbers on the board crew. He's inspired me to start my podcast, and I want to end up like him one day where I have a show on ESPN and I'm interviewing the commissioner of the NBA. And I hope this is a great start for that. So, with that being said, Nikola Jokic, amazing player, phenomenal player, has been a great performer in round 1 so far. We'll see if he can keep it up for game 6 and game 7 if necessary. That brings us to number 2, Anthony Edwards. He was phenomenal in the first series. I had a lot of questions of could he handle the double teams and A, shoot efficiently, or B, pass out effectively enough, and can the pieces around him knock down the shots when he does have to pass out? The pieces around him knock down their shots. When he was doubled, he made the right passes. When he had a good chance for an isolation bucket, he went after it and got the isolation bucket. Went for 43 in one of these games. I think it was game 3 or game 4. I'm not 100% sure, but he had 43 points, 9 rebounds. Was amazing in that game. In last night's game, he had 15 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists. Again, 2 assists away from a triple-double. Was 0 for 11 from 3, though, 5 of 19 from the field. But the pieces around him stepped up, and they got it done. I wanted to knock him down below number 3, Cade Cunningham, but Cade Cunningham has had a couple struggle shooting performances. so far in that first round series, but he's been phenomenal. I mean, stepping up as the true number one as a young guy on this young team, he has been phenomenal. He's been everything they needed him to be. The 2 games they have won have been because of how has played, and they've been in all of these games with exception of the last one, which kind of got away from them, or the one before that, which kind of got away from them. He's just been phenomenal. Number 4, Jason Tatum. I am a Celtics fan, so there may be a little bias in this, but after missing game 2, he comes back in game 3, struggles to shoot the ball, but still rebounds well, defends well, facilitates well, does the Jason Tatum things, even though he doesn't shoot the ball well. But then games 4 and 5, Jason Tatum had absolute superstar performances. Or no, games 3, 4, and 5. Game 1 he struggled. Game 2 he had the wrist injury and was out. Game 3, 4, and 5 he was absolutely phenomenal. First game scored the ball well, rebounded well, didn't get a bunch of assists, but he could have had 6 or 7 easily if some guys knocked down a few open looks. I remember an Al Horford 3 that didn't go down and a Derek White 3 that didn't go down in that game. That's 2 just easily right there. Game 4, he had a near triple-double. Game 5, he had a near triple-double. And 30 plus points, 35 plus points in all 3 of those games. That actually ties him with Larry Bird for the most consecutive 35 plus point playoff games from a Celtic. Larry Bird did that in 1986, 1987. Jason Tatum just matched that now after none of the Celtics greats, no Paul Pierce, no Ray Allen, no Kevin Garnett, no one else has done that in the time between that span. Isaiah Thomas didn't do it, Kyrie Irving didn't do it. He's phenomenal. It really shows the level of greatness that he has achieved, and I hate that he's so hated on. Just because I think he's a great player. I think he deserves some respect. I think he's narrowing that gap between him and SGA for third best in the league. My tier goes Giannis, Jokic. That's just tier 1. No particular order. I cannot order those 2. Those are the 2 best players in the world, though, for me. And then I think SGA and Tatum has kind of start to become the second tier, and Luka's close to that tier. There's a lot of guys who are in that tier. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but I think Tatum deserves a little bit more respect than he's been getting. That brings us to number 5, Kawhi Leonard. Like I said earlier, he looks like prime Kawhi Leonard. He had a very efficient 39, and I don't remember if it was game 2 or game 3, but a very efficient 39 points. He's been very efficient this whole series. He's getting to his spots, knocking down his shots, playing tough defense like he always does. I mean, Kawhi Leonard's phenomenal. I think this Clippers team is legit, and I think they have a chance to make a run. It's going to take us to the NFL segment. We're going to talk about the NFL draft. We're going to start with the biggest surprise picks. The Bears taking Colson Loveland really surprised me. And then they took Luther Burden later, which also kind of surprised me because they have Cole Kmet. He's been a good producer at the tight end spot. He's also a good blocker. Colson Loveland is not really an inline tight end at about 2'6", 250, a little under 250. He's not an inline tight end. He's not your traditional inline tight end. So he's more of a big slot guy. So it surprised me that they took him. And then the fact that they took Luther Burden, who's also more of a slot receiver, also kind of surprised me. And they signed Olamide Zaccheaus this offseason. So I think they're going to have 3 guys competing to play in the slot with Odunze and DJ Moore outside. And Cole Kmet at tight end. They can run 2 tight end sets with Colson Loveland. They can run him as an H-back, as a fullback. He is a little bit of a Swiss Army knife as this taller, lankier, good route runner. You can move him around a bit. So it was a surprise though. I didn't think the Bears would go tight end that high. I didn't know they were in on Colson Loveland as high as they were. And it really kind of shocked me. That was my biggest shocker pick of the first 10 picks. Number 18, Gray Zabel to the Seahawks. The Seahawks GM has been very vocal about saying that offensive guard is the most overpaid and overdrafted position in the NFL. So I had them. Most of my mocks, I had them going edge in the first round. But they decided to go guard, and not just any guard, Gray Zabel, which I thought he would sneak into the back half of the first round, maybe the mid to late 20s, and of course 30, 31, 32. Um, but it shocked me that they took him that high, but they like the intangibles. I can see why they like the intangibles. He's a smart guy. He has good fundamentals, good footwork, and he's very powerful hands, good pass protector. I like the pick. Um, Number 19 went Emeka Egbuka, the 19th overall pick, to the Buccaneers. This one really surprised me. Jalen McMillan was really good as a rookie last year. Mike Evans is literally, there's three constants in life: death, taxes, and Mike Evans getting 1,000 yards. Um, I just I don't get why they need Egbuka. Now they have like you need four receivers obviously because it's a rotation, but using your first round pick on receiver when you have holes at linebacker and offensive line and corner and safety, holes all over the defense, to be honest. I don't like using your first round pick on a wide receiver there, especially when a guy like Jahad Campbell was available. And of course, they let him fall to the Eagles, so the Eagles won the draft again. Um, but yeah, I don't agree with the pick there by the Buccaneers. I think you could have gotten a pretty good wide receiver later in the draft and a really good linebacker, corner, or safety here in the first round. That brings us to number 40, Tyler Shuck to the New Orleans Saints. I don't know what the Saints are doing, man. Their GM needs to be fired. It's not that I don't like Tyler Shuck. I do like Tyler Shuck. I just don't think he's a second round talent. I don't think he's better than Shedeur Sanders. I just don't agree over Shedeur Sanders, over Dylan Gabriel, over Quinn Ewers. I mean, yeah, I don't agree with that. I also very much did not agree with the Jackson Dart pick in the first round by the Giants. I'm very out on Jackson Dart. He has no touch. Every ball he throws is on a line. That's a coachable thing, but he I don't know. He could pan out. He could prove me wrong, but I think Jackson Dart is valued too highly. I don't think he has great footwork in the pocket. Um, but yeah, those are my gripes about Jackson Dart and Tyler Shuck. Bring us to number 46, Terrence Ferguson to the Los Angeles Rams. I didn't think they needed tight end with Colby Parkinson and Tyler Higbee. I think Higbee was good coming back from that ACL injury. He is getting older. And I also did not think Terrence Ferguson was a second round tight end. I had him at a third, fourth round grade. He's 6'5", 247, but he's extremely athletic. And I think getting someone who runs a 4.6 340 with a 39-inch vert, he's just going to be an absolute weapon. You can move him outside, move him into the slot, play him in line. I think he's very versatile and a very good athlete. I like the pick for the Rams overall. I think he's just another weapon for McVay to use in that offense. I think Matt Stafford will get him the ball consistently. I like the pick. It just surprised me. I didn't think they needed to take him in the second round, but they did. They liked their guy and they got their guy, so I definitely respect it. And then, of course, the 144th overall pick, Shedeur Sanders to the Cleveland Browns, which leads us into our next little piece of the NFL talk. Why did Shedeur Sanders fall so far in the draft? I think expectations were raised too high, and that's why it surprised us. I think there were character concerns being raised by Deion Sanders and having so much time in the spotlight at Colorado and all of that. And then of course just the lack of arm strength. He doesn't have an elite arm. It's fair. It's better than my arm. It's better than an average Joe's arm for sure. But for an NFL standard arm talent, he doesn't have it. He's extremely accurate, great progressions. He struggles to extend plays at times, walks into sacks here and there, but he's got decent footwork in the pocket, great at reading the field, can run the RPO, can run the read option, does have a bit of mobility. I like Shedeur Sanders. I honestly don't know why he fell so far in the draft, but I know that I don't think he should have. And that's going to bring us to my 2025-2026 dark horse NFL teams. My teams that I think could sneak into the playoffs this year. My first team, the Arizona Cardinals. Hear me out. Hear me out. Kyler Murray. We've seen him. We've seen him have an MVP type season before. Take this team to the playoffs before. I think they drafted really well. Added a few good pieces to this defense. I think this defense is going to be much improved next year. They added well in the free agency portal as well. But in the draft, Walter Nolan, Will Johnson, Jordan Birch, Cody Simon, Denzel Burke, their first 5 picks were defensive players, and 6 of their 7 picks were defensive players. They really hammered the defensive side of the ball this year, and I think they're going to be much, much, much improved on that side next season. And I like the Cardinals to get into the playoffs. I think they have the weapons around Kyler Murray. I think Kyler Murray can be the quarterback to take them to the playoffs. And maybe into the divisional, maybe even into the NFC Championship. We saw the Commanders make a crazy run last year. Another dark horse team I have, the Indianapolis Colts. Man, if Anthony Richardson can get up to 60% completion percentage, that's like, if you do the math, that's 3 more completions a half. If he can get up to 60% completion percentage and still create 70% of the explosive plays he does and can learn how to check the ball down, this team can easily make it into the playoffs. They were contending for the playoffs last year. They made the playoffs the year before with Gardner Minshew as their quarterback for most of the year after Anthony Richardson went down with injury. I don't see how you can argue that the Colts aren't a dark horse playoff contender, and maybe even a dark horse team to, again, win a playoff game or two and kind of make a statement. I don't think Anthony Richardson's career is over. Don't write him off too early. He only started 1 season in college. He only started 3 games his rookie year. He needs time to develop. You got to let him get more time on the field. I think he's going to get that time on the field this year while competing with Daniel Jones and now newly drafted Riley Leonard. I like the Colts to make a playoff run. And my last dark horse playoff team, and also my last dark horse playoff team, who in my opinion will be this year's Vikings, it's the New England Patriots. I think they had a down year last year. I think expectations still aren't very high on this team. I see a lot of people projecting them 6, 7, 8 wins, maybe 9 at the most. I got them 10 wins, 11 wins. I think this team can make a playoff run. They have a pretty easy schedule. They don't play many very good teams on the road. Like I think they have a genuine chance. On the road they have Buffalo, Miami, and the Jets, of course. I think they'll probably split with Buffalo, lose both to Miami, and then either split with New York or beat them twice, the Jets. That's how it seems to normally go. We might take one off the Bills, or we'll split with the Bills. We normally take one off the Bills. But then we get the Falcons at home. I think that's a win. Panthers at home, win. Cleveland, Pittsburgh, maybe a loss. All right, so what does that put us at? 2-4 coming out of the division. 3-4, 4-4, 5-4, 5-5. You get the Raiders, I think you win that game. You get the Giants, I think you win that game. Also, both of those at home. So that's 7-5 going into the away games. You got Baltimore on the road. That's probably a loss. 7-6. Cincinnati, probably a loss. 7-7. But then New Orleans, Tampa Bay, Tennessee, I think you can win all 3 of those. Walk out of the season 10-7. Make the playoffs. I love what Drake May did last year. I love Mike Vrabel as a coach. I think he did a really good job in Tennessee. And bringing in Travion Henderson, Kyle Williams, and Will Campbell, you protect Drake May, and you get him 2 great weapons to use. Kyle Williams, a guy that wasn't on a lot of people's boards, not on a lot of people's visions. He's 5'11", 190, runs a 4.4 40, 37-inch vertical, great hands, good route runner. I think he's going to be great on the outside, opposite of Stephon Diggs with Pop Douglas in the slot. And then, of course, you have Jalen Polk and Javon Baker to rotate in, with Kendrick Bourne rotating in also. Great receiver room there. Hunter Henry as your tight end 1. I like every move they made. And then my true contenders for 2025, 2026, we'll start with the Kansas City Chiefs. Of course, they're always a contender. They have Mahomes and Andy Reid. They're a contender. The Eagles, once again, won the draft for the millionth year in a row. They won the Super Bowl last year. They're a contender. My other true contenders, though, are the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar's got to get over that hump. Same with the Bills and Josh Allen. They got to get over that hump. I like what the Bills did this offseason. I like what the Ravens did this offseason. The O-line might be a little shaky this year, but I think the system that they run with running the ball with Derrick Henry and Lamar a lot, and a lot of quick throws for Lamar Jackson, I think it will work well, and they'll be able to kind of silence those offensive line issues a little bit until the playoffs. I think in the playoffs it could come back to haunt them, but I got them in the playoffs for now, along with the Bills as contenders. My NFC contenders, the Lions, of course, gotta go with the Lions. I think the Bears will make the playoffs. I don't know if they'll be a true contender this year. And I think the Rams are honestly a little bit of a contender. I wouldn't be surprised if they made a run back to the Super Bowl. They drafted well. Like I said, Terrence Ferguson, I think he's a great weapon to bring into this offense. For Matt Stafford, I love their draft. I love everything they're doing. And that's kind of my overall opinions on this. Bring us to our fantasy sports segment. Which picks in the 2025 NFL Draft had the largest fantasy impact? I'm going to start off with number 10 and number 46, Luther Burden and Colson Loveland and Luther Burden. I think this had a very big impact. One on Caleb Williams, stock way up. I'm willing to take Caleb Williams in the third, fourth round this year. I think people were a little too early on him last year. This year, I'm third, fourth round. Like, I'm willing to take him up there with the Josh Allens, the Jalen Hurts. I'm taking Caleb Williams over Mahomes this year. I'm letting Lamar, Jalen Hurts, and Josh Allen all go off the board as the first three. Those will be the first three. And then I'm arguing for Caleb Williams at 4 very easily. I think it had a big impact on Odunze and DJ Moore also, though, because I think they're not going to get as many targets. So I'm a little more down on them now because I think Caleb Williams will spread the ball out a bit. But I do still like them, just fourth, fifth round price on DJ Moore, and then sixth round price on Rome Odunze I'd be okay with. I'm not projecting a huge year 2 breakout for him just because there are so many mouths to feed in this offense. But I think that was the biggest one. I think Jerry Jeudy gets a stock up, and same with David Njoku, just adding 2 guys who aren't Deshaun Watson into that quarterback room and who aren't DTR, who isn't terrible but is definitely not very good as in your NFL starting quarterback. He's a backup, let's be honest, but I think Dylan Gabriel and Shadur Sanders both have a chance to throw their hats in there and take the job from Deshaun Watson. And whoever it is, I think they'll target Jeudy and Njoku heavily, especially David Njoku, a big tight end safety, a big safety valve, athletic tight end like David Njoku is a rookie quarterback's best friend. That's just how it is. So I think those 2 picks had the biggest fantasy impact. And that'll take us to my daily props for tonight's games. I have Cade Cunningham over 36.5 points and assists. I think he's going to have to show up tonight if the Pistons even want a chance at winning. And I think he's going to have to show up tonight. I think he's going to show up tonight regardless, because at home in Detroit, those fans are absolutely electric, and that's their guy, and they're going to be behind him. They're going to be riling him up, getting him hyped, keeping him locked in, and I think he's going to get it done. 36.5 points and assists. I think he can definitely do that. We've seen him do that already twice in this series. And then Kawhi Leonard over 24.5 points. He shows up in elimination games. He just does. Flat out, and I've said it multiple times already this video, Kawhi Leonard looks like the 2018-2019 Kawhi Leonard that took that Raptors team to the finals and won a championship and a finals MVP with them. I love Kawhi Leonard. I love this team. Those are the daily props. With that being said, that will wrap up this first episode of Why We Love the Game. Remember, stay positive. Let's not drag on players and hate on players anymore in this league. Let's try and appreciate the greatness that each and every one of these guys accomplished individually. With that being said, thank you all for tuning in. I'll catch you all next week in the next episode.